Hi everyone, Samantha Colby here. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever been loved by an animal or a pet? Have you ever grown up with an animal or pet? The look in their eyes when they cross your gaze, and you can just see them smile internally when they look at you. That is the feeling of unconditional love, my friends. That I have felt that with all of my pets throughout the years that I have had, and I currently have four cats actually, by the way, so I'm working my way up to crazy cat lady at the moment. I grew up with dogs, but once I started college, for some reason, I started collecting cats. Um, they are my world. I love coming home to them. I like them being all excited to see me when I walk through the door. And, sometimes as a busy college student, trying to keep up with homework and work and trying to have a social life and family and friends, that sometimes I just really find myself wanting to come home and be with them. They are perfect for when you are feeling lonely or sad or scared or stressed out or confused, or really if you just need a bedside heater, because they like to lay with you usually, and they can keep you warm on these cold days coming up. But when you have the love of an animal, that is unconditional love. And what exactly am I talking about with unconditional love? What is that? Unconditional love, what I'm talking about, is love with no conditions. It's that simple. It has no bounds and is never changing. This is an animal's love. I'm sure many of you have felt it, having pets of your own, growing up with pets. So I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. The City of Janesville's Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin has shown and given me this unconditional love. They keep the city from getting overrun with overpopulated animals, both domestic and feral, where we've all seen, obviously, majority of the time, they're usually cats, but I'm sure you've seen stray cats wandering around, and you can't help but feeling sad for them, because it makes you sad to know that they don't have a warm place to go home to, or, they're fighting for their next meal. And maybe you've even taken it upon yourself to even rescue them. I have. I've done it actually quite a few times, and rehomed them myself. But the Humane Society legally shelters and then rehomes these animals. So they have an option to have a healthy, loved life. So they keep it from being overrun, and they provide shelter, and then they rehome them, which is amazing. The Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin is an asset to the city of Janesville. You might think that nothing can help this little but growing city of ours. Bad things might continue to happen in the city. Obviously, our population is growing. They're doing a lot of work downtown, trying to make it better. Sometimes you just kind of feel like it's a lost cause, But the Humane Society, I believe, does really, truly help. From local donations and donators, it keeps our city from getting overrun with domestic and feral animals. Local city organizations and private donators actually donate to help support the Humane Society's costs every year. This shows compassion for the Humane Society and a good cause that actually ends up helping the city in the end. Some of the local contributors that you might know of are like Mounds Pet Food Warehouse. That's where when you're checking out, they give you the little Mounds candy bars. It's over by Basics. That is pretty nice. They donate a lot over the years. Data Dimensions actually donates. A couple of my friends actually work there as well. Blaine's Farm and Fleet has donated tons of food over the years for our local Humane Society. Petco are just a few to name that you can know of. From donations, the number of 2016-2017 TNRs, which are the trap, neuter, releases, have helped the city's growing population of homeless animals. Alone, they took in over 1,100 cats in 2017. That is quite a lot of cats in 1 year. And this just helps that the TNRs are working. Trap, neuter, releases, not only just releasing them to where they are, but also possibly rehoming them as well. That helps. For a nonprofit donations are key to continue helping our city. But what has changed to keep that cost down? Because it's not, even though it's not for profit, it's not free. Obviously, there are still utilities, food, housing, that kind of thing. But the Humane Society, if they keep their costs down, they can continue to help the city. So from private donators, this helps as well. The previous director of the Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin actually speculated on how the data can actually help them keep the costs down. And what I mean by data is that every year they come out with an annual report, and it shows obviously how much they've spent over the year on everything that they've had to purchase, and also to keep the place running. And so he started noticing a pattern. His name was Mr. Frazier, and he started noticing patterns with, unneeded costs and money waste, that he's wondering why can't we revamp this? Well, as the director, obviously he has the power to do so. So he actually did the budget for the Humane Society, completely redone it, and it's been working very well ever since. Saving money by following these data patterns and changing the budget means that they can help more animals. In turn means helping the city more, which is great that he came up with this. Now that you understand how local support helps Humane Society and the Humane Society helps the city, you might think, well, the city is just rules and regulations. It can't do much for stray animals. The city can't. But like our city council, local and state legislature, the Humane Society helps to implement and enforce strict laws for helping these specific animals. They legally shelter and rehome animals so that they have a healthy, loving life and not out running around and procreating, obviously. You might be thinking, well, what are Wisconsin laws actually towards owning and caring for pets or animals of any type? The Wisconsin statute 95113 is the statute for providing adequate and clean food and water for confined animals. 95114 is providing crucial and proper shelter for animals. These are just to name a few. Obviously, there's pages long of local, obviously, state statutes for Wisconsin. But the Humane Society has a track record for keeping up with all of these local and state laws, and they provide all the necessities for the animals they take in. Now that you are aware of, obviously, a few of the Wisconsin laws, there's quite many more, how does that of what the local Humane Society actually compared to the state's Humane Society? Because there is a state Humane Society, so there's the Wisconsin Humane Society. In 2016, the Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin helped return 448 animals to their owners. That would be like lost animals. And I don't know about you, but I have dealt with losing a pet. I was frantic for days. I was scared. I was calling the Humane Society probably every 2 to 3 hours. I couldn't sleep. I was so worried about what could happen to them, if they would get hit by a car or if they would get sick. And actually, a good Samaritan found my cat and picked him up and brought him to the Humane Society. And I don't know about you, but I was a huge basket case, so it was amazing that they were actually able to help me find my cat and actually home him, shelter him, and feed him before I could come and get him. They had over 1,700 adoptions in 2016 alone, and that number continues to rise every year. It continues to grow. Now compare that to the Wisconsin Humane Society. They had over 10,000 adoptions. That means the Humane Society here in our little town of Janesville had 17% of what the whole state adopted out. That's a huge number. That's 17% of homes got the chance to have that unconditional love of a pet, which is amazing. A story that I have pinned up at my desk at work reminds me of that unconditional love I was talking about earlier. The unconditional love of Maisie was able to heal not one, but 2 human hearts. The story is called Happy Tales, and it just makes me kind of chuckle inside. It really always brings a smile to my face every time I kind of, see it when I glance over it. But it's the story of a couple that had a cat for only 3 short years. The cat got very sick, had a lot of medical problems, and they decided to do the humane thing by putting it down, and they were completely distraught over it. Well, a few months afterwards, they decided to donate some of their time to a local humane society and help socialize some kittens. They were not looking at all for a cat again. They didn't want to replace their loved one that they had to put down, but they just wanted to, give back a little bit of what they got to experience. And as they were there, this little kitten would reach through her cage and try and touch them, and every time they walked by. And unfortunately, that first week, they were not able to take her out of her cage and socialize with her. Well, about a week later, they came back. They had a good time, and they decided to donate more of their time and socialize a little bit more with some other kittens. And they decided to cross Maisie again, and just like before, she would reach through the cage and try and touch them. And so they finally took her out, and the moment they took her out, she embraced them, almost in a complete hug, and they just absolutely fell head over heels with her. And so they got to choose Maisie as their next cat. They actually got to adopt her and bring her home. And it just makes me feel great to know that a couple that loves something so much then had to go through grief of having to put it down, and then finding love again just kind of pulls at your heartstrings and makes you feel really good. And to know that they found it at a humane society just makes me feel really good. So these lovable fairy tales that you can call happen time and time again. Through compassion, donation, and regulation, the Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin upholds to their mission statement, which is helping pets go home and sometimes go home again. I really love this mission statement because it really, I think, says a lot instead of referring to them as animals. We all know they're animals. We understand that. But to have something turn into an animal into a pet is just a huge deal. And so I really think helping pets go home is just adorable and amazing. And it means a lot, I think. So the Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin is an asset to the city of Janesville. The Humane Society keeps the city from getting overpopulated with domesticated and feral animals, and they legally shelter and rehome them so that these animals can have a healthy, loving life. So if you're noticing donation requests from local businesses around town, maybe if you're shopping, and you see one specifically for the Humane Society in Janesville, if you would like to donate to a local cause, I would say donate to them. I hope you choose to keep this business moving forward for Forward Janesville so that they can continue their work and keep being an asset for our city. If you are at all lonely, working from home, being a college student, or just want to care for something other than yourself, I hope you're lucky enough to find that unconditional love from an animal, a pet, and I hope you find it from our very own local Humane Society of Southern Wisconsin at 222 South Arch Street in Janesville, Wisconsin. Thank you.